Hey there, guys. This is CP Cards and Dice, and I'm doing a quick unboxing of a game that I received recently, Status Pro Baseball Classic. Now, the box is in so-so condition. I don't see it as in really top-notch condition. I see it kind of in average condition, and then maybe um, the structure itself is probably below average condition since you would categorize. It has a slit on the upper right-hand corner here. Right on this side right here has a little slit. So let's see if we can get the pulsating to, let's see here, to stop. I'm trying to get a little bit better of a view on this. But again, the camera does its own thing as usual. See if we can get it to stop. And sometimes if it's too far or not far enough, it'll also affect it. Let's see if we have a jolt on it. Sometimes it stops. Other times it doesn't. All right. So let's open this up and see what we got here. This is an Avalon Hill game called Status Pro Baseball. It's a fun game, easy to play, and I think this was basically an improvement over what was had at the time and what was very popular at the time. Particularly, I think Stratomatic and Appa. Because both those games, one was a 50-50 pitcher game. The other game was kind of an overall pitcher effect on the game as opposed to a individual batter to batter pitcher effect. So I think for the first time, I'm not sure about Sports Illustrated baseball, and I know some baseball historians would know a little bit better about that game than I do. But I do know that Avalon Hill brought a game into being in the late 70s. And this is not a late 70s. This is the forgotten era in the 80s. This is a late 80s game that included the pitcher. The pitcher was the one who would initiate the contact or the level of contact for the first time, I think. So let's take a look at what we got here in this Status Pro box, which is kind of cool because you don't get these very often. It's unpunched, right? And this was the damage that I was talking to you about right there. You can see that. That's so a little bit of something needs to be taken care of that to fix it. And these can go for, I've seen them lately. I've seen them for real high dollar amounts on eBay. 130, 140, 150, 160, crazy. And this one happens to be unpunched. So let's look at this is a late 80s version. And this is a beautiful, probably never used. Well, obviously it's never been used because it's unpunched. So this is a gorgeous board, and I love this board. And the interesting about this board is that the board was pretty much had all the charts that you needed on here. So it has a place for the home pitcher, a place for the home team lineup. This game is driven by fast action cards. It has a visiting pitcher. It has, and I'm looking down here, and it has the visiting team lineup. Then it has, this is where you keep track of when the pitcher, the starting pitcher or the relief pitcher is running out of gas. It's got a little token, and you move it on hits and walks and runs. You move them down until he gets to one, and then you remove the pitcher. That's kind of cool. So it's not, it makes it objective. And then you got the stolen base chart. You got the runner advancing chart. You got the hitting. Let me see. Wait a second here. All right. Here, and I was up here. You have the stolen base chart, the runners advancing chart, the hit and run chart. Up at the top, you're going to have the defensive option play chart, which basically offense decides whether to send runner. The variable factor from left to righty, that's the splits. They had their own simple split system, which is really easy to use and fun. Pitching adjustment chart. So depending on what you've done so far, you would get the pitching adjustment chart comes into play in the seventh and only when a pitcher is working on a shutout, that sort of thing. And then, of course, you have the sacrifice chart, the bunting for a base hit chart right here, and then the squeeze play. So this has, I mean, every facet of the game of tabletop baseball that you could possibly want. So this is a real advanced game, and it does it in a very, very simple way. Okay, and it's all right here in these small little charts. It's very easy to follow. So this was I think this was a great game, and I guess it just did not become real popular because it was kind of competing with two other games that had been around for a long time. Again, I got my. Let's see if we can adjust. Here we go. All right. Now let's look. These are the charts that come with the game. They're basically, this is a CD table, picture, special action chart. What is this all about? Wow, I haven't seen this one before. This has not been separated. All right, this is an ad. The best simulation of tabletop baseball by any board game. So they're doing marketing. Right here, what is this thing? Let's see what this is. This is rules of play. It's like 2 pages. This is the 3rd edition. This is 1989, by the way. And this is going to be your action charts. Right, look at that. This is Status Pro action chart. This is way different than what I'm used to. The earlier, I think I have the earlier versions. Man on second. Man on first and second. This is a little bit like APA does it, and I don't really like that. I like the earlier action charts where you had you had nobody on, runner on first, runner on first and second, and that was all on one page. Then you turn it over and you would get runners on first and third, bases loaded, blah blah like that. And it was fewer charts. Here it seems to be a lot of charts, and this is the 1989 version. I don't know why they went to this system all of a sudden here. Where, hey guys, Philip is there and Larry Harris, welcome. I know I got some pulsation going. This is a short and sweet unboxing of a classic 70s, 80 era, and early 90s. I call it the Elvis in Vegas era, and then the 80s, which would be the Reagan tear down that wall era. And then the early 90s, which would be the omnibus crime bill and NAFTA era. And this is man on second, man on first and second. I don't like this aspect of it. I like the old boards from the earlier 2nd edition and 1st edition. You see that? These are easier to read, of course. The page is more stark. The font is a little bit larger. Right, but I don't like the fact that it's so many pages. So anyway, this is the first time I looked at this. Now these are the fast action cards. Look at that, how cool this is. Unpunched. If this game set does not contain the latest stat cards, do not be alarmed. Do not return this game to the store. Call this number toll free. Avalon Hill Game Company. Wow, blast from the past, guys. All right, look at this. These are the fast action cards. I think there are about 98 of these, I believe, off the top of my head. I'm not going to count them right now, but there should be 98 of these unpunched. Games and parts, price list. So you can buy separate parts for this game at some point in history. So this is a nice historical set. What is this? This is some sort of quality for the latest issue of The General at no charge. The General. The General had a lot of interesting stuff in it. I know The General, I've heard that from the wargaming community. I believe The General had little miniatures. They used to sell miniatures so you can, and board games to, replay or refight World War II and all that. I remember The General being a part of that. And this is an Avalon Hill postcard, placed first class postage stamp. I enjoyed playing this game. Okay. This is your registration card, so they'll know who you are. And here, wow, this is amazing, right? Look at this. This is a brand new set of score sheets, but look how thick this is. And it's double-sided. So there's a score sheet on side A and a score sheet on side B. Now, I hate these score sheets, to be honest, and I'll show you the reason why Let me see if I grab something to point this out. The reason why is these boxes are so small. And then, of course, it goes from 1 to 9. It doesn't give space for a sub. So all the subs have to be in the 9th spot, or you have to write them in somewhere, and it doesn't really give you anywhere to write the pinch hitters. Like if I pinch hit or sub for anyone else beyond the pitcher, it's going to be almost impossible to get it in there. So these, to be honest, are terrible score sheets. They're not well thought out. But just consider, look how many they give you. Probably, I don't know, at least 50 two-sided, so you get 100 score sheets. That's very, very generous. You wouldn't get that today. You get nowadays the boxes come with one. Again, I got the. So here are the players. These are the 1989 season. Houston, Bill Doran, Eric Anthony, Greg Gross, Mark Davidson, Ken Caminiti, Oral Hershiser was with LA. So first it's Houston on top, then it becomes LA, and it's still LA here. Oh, pitcher at bat card, Alejandro Pena, Jay Howell, Mike Hartley. Let's see if I could find one of my favorite teams, and this is how this works. Let's see if I could find the Mets. Oh, I kind of know. Houston, this is Houston as well. This is all Houston, then it becomes LA. Before that is Cincinnati. These are tiny. I mean, these are real small cards. I mean, super duper small. Look at that size. I mean, you can fit a lot of cards on this page. And this is the AL now. Right? This jumps to the AL. Baltimore. Kurt Schilling was on Baltimore in '89. Dave Schmidt. I'm not going to go into these cards right now, but these are the unpunched cards that I have for this set. Very cool. Here it is. Let's see. We have some Mets. John Mitchell, Frank Viola. He's a St. John's boy. Bob Ojeda, Ron Darling. Great announcer for the Mets, and he does the playoffs as well. Sid Fernandez. They had a great team in '89. This was a Mets dynasty. I don't know if people are aware of that. From '84 to about '91, the Mets won 90 games every season. So they had a heck of a team, and they were in contention every single year. They had David Cohn, who was coming into his own. And look at these cards. There's not the righty-lefty splits, but these are fun to play with. These are easy to play with. I just haven't touched these because I hate to, this is a blast from the past. I mean, this is going to go into my my tabletop baseball museum. I have most of my stuff in there is Appa and Stratomatic. That's where I put my Cold War games. And this is going to be my retro, my forgotten era, NAFTA, and tear down this wall. This is going to be in that exhibit. So very cool. And how long have I gone on this? I don't want to pass 15 minutes. I got about another. Here's Nolan Ryan's card. All right, Nolan Ryan's card. He's got a lot of Ks from 23 to 45. When you pull a fast action card, you're going to get a K. And he doesn't really have as many walks as you would think. I guess some walks come off. There's walks off the batter cards as well. But these are the Texas Rangers of 1989. Rafael Palmeiro, Mike Stanley. He's an ex-Yankee. Jim Sundberg, who was a very good defensive catcher from that era. Buddy Bell was on that team. And these cards don't tell you what they batted either. It doesn't give you their stats. That's one thing that I don't agree with. I like to see stats on players. And that's about it. So, and here are the two. Those are the two tokens that come with the game. Now, these are the Yankees. Bob Blowers, Luis Polonia. Oh, he's with Oakland at that time. Deion Sanders, Bob Green, Bob Brewster. That's weird because New York, Oakland. So Luis Polonia has New York, Oakland written on his card. So I guess he was traded. Mel Hall, he's in the clink right now. Roberto Kelly, they expected a lot out of him, and he never really delivered. Let's see. There's Don Mattingly, '89. Don Mattingly, he shot up like a meteor, and then all of a sudden he crashed and burned very early. His back started to really be a problem for him, and then his power really declined, and his batting average kind of leveled out at about 280, 290, which is good. But his power, a guy who was hitting 30 home runs, suddenly became a guy who couldn't hit 10. Randy Velarde, he lasted into the 90s. Jesse Barfield, he was he was traded over to New York and just lasted a couple of years. Mike Pag, Steve Balboni, Eric Plunk came over as well. So anyway, this is CP Cards and Dice. This is 1989 Status Pro, unpunched, which is cool to see a game unpunched, and you can see it's all kind of yellow. All the cards are kind of yellow, which is kind of cool. It shows you that this is aged the way it should age, right? And I'm putting everything back into the box, and it's a nice set. These sets go for now. They're pretty high up there on eBay. It's a fun game. You can get a $10 version, modern game for $10, and then I think you pay an extra $20 or $30 for all the charts and everything you need to play. And you can get seasons for about $10 on eBay. So I highly recommend. They even have a Status Pro Advanced that you can find. I play those. I have some of those card sets. Let's see if there's any comments. They're no longer in business. That's correct, but you can still get them on eBay. And there's guys that produce these because the designer of the game gave away his recipe to the cards. And he explained how to do it, and it's actually included in the rule set. If you want to make your own cards, he says, go right on ahead. You're welcome to make your own cards. I'm not hiding anything from anybody, which is really cool. So that's available, and guys are making these cards. They have every single season available. There's a bunch of them that do that on eBay, and they run a couple of the Delphi sites and so forth. Another one has a Facebook page. I think it's called Status Pro Advanced. Very easy game, very inexpensive, and it's a lot of fun. You can play it with dice, or you can play it with fast action cards. And that's it. So I'm going to put this away. I'm going to take it to my museum exhibit of games from the 80s and well, this was a 70s, 80s, and 90s game. This is actually a little bit more advanced than APBA and Stratomatic in terms of its mechanics, its design, because those other games were designed in the late 1950s. So, of course, the mindset that went into their, internal structures are a little bit, how can I say, 1950s, McCarthy era, and so forth. So anyway, this is CP. I'll leave it to Beaver. CP Cards and Dice saying thanks for watching the unboxing. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys soon.